All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Michael Burrows,
I'm Jeff Bailey. We're Transcendental Waves.
and today we're going to talk about what is America number one in.
Well, we were growing up, we've been taught that America is the greatest. And so we kind of tried to dig in and think, like, are we really the best? And so, what makes the best? What makes a country the best? The happiest, the healthiest? What would make a country happy? Low homeless rates, high education, good health care. You know, we started looking into stats like that, and it's pretty surprising where America ranks in a lot of these stats.
Yeah, I started researching these stats about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and it was eye opening. I was in the Army then, and I had always been told, America is the best country in the world. It's the most free country in the world. And just like Jeff, I was like, the most free country in the world. Yeah, that sounds good. What makes the most free country? And so I was like, well, let's just see what the internet says the most free country is in the world. And it wasn't, America's not even on the top 10 list. And then you read what like the statistics are based on, what kind of polls and statistics. And it's just mind blowing how we are told America is so good in this world, but the statistics don't say that, and the other countries don't say that. It's just propaganda. It's what it is, or patriotism.
Yeah, once you start looking into the stats and what's really important to making a country happy, and you look into the healthcare statistics, the education stats, homelessness, incarceration. There's key contributors to things that you would think would go to a free society. Um, America's shockingly, surprisingly, from what we've been told, not in the top 10, not close to a lot of those stats. The sad thing is when you see what stats they are number one in, like military spending, spending on prescription drugs, that then you start to wonder, how great are we?
I mean, if you think of America as the best country, what are some stats that we would think of? So, to me, I'm thinking the best country would be the happiest country, right? Would you
Right,
think so
right.
too? All right. So if you go to see the top 10 happiest countries in the world, they're Finland, Denmark, Iceland, Israel, Netherlands, Sweden, Norway, Switzerland, Luxembourg, and New Zealand. Okay, none of those are the Americans, you know?
No, and I mean, you can go down as far as like, I mean, healthiest country, Singapore.
Oh, right, okay, so healthiest country. We're not even in the top 10 on that, and we should be. You would think that America could be the healthiest country in the world.
No, we're the 35th healthiest country in the world.
But we spend like the most money on medicine and healthcare. Is that strange to you?
Yeah, it's very strange. The we're the it's a 14th fattest country in the world.
All right,
We
so out of all the countries in the world, we are like the 14th fattest. And the ones that are above us are probably countries you've never heard of, you know?
yeah, it is crazy in some of these stats where we're
Not the
we're not
worst.
the worst. The countries that are ahead of us are countries Turkmenistan's, countries you'll have to look for on the map. You've never heard of these countries.
And
Uh,
yeah,
I mean, the only one, incarceration, we're number six. Cuba's number five. The four other countries on top of us are, again, countries you've never heard of. And I mean, these stats are just globally known. We're not looked at as one of the safest, happiest, healthiest places in the world. And I guess one thing that we're trying to put this message out for is just to kind of like, remove the wool from everyone's eyes and let us know that we have some work to do. Like we have the highest GDP in the world. We should be able to fix these problems. These are chosen problems.
all right, so another one. If I was living in the best country in the world, I would say, what is the freest country in the world? Let's look at this statistic. Just, guys, Google most free country in the world. All right, here's the top 10. Number 1, Switzerland, New Zealand, Denmark, Estonia, Ireland, Finland. Canada's number 7. Austria, Sweden, Luxembourg. I mean, I joined the United States Army I enlisted because I thought we were like the most free country in the world, and I wanted to join that type of organization. But then I found out after 16 years in the Army that it's not about being free. And that's just crazy. All right, Jeff, what's another topic you would think of that the best country in the world would have?
Education,
All right.
which U.S. is in the top 10 in spending.
So
One of the IQ, we're the 24th highest country in IQ. We spend in the top 10 in education.
So if we spend the number 6 in the whole world on education, but yet we're the 25th in the smartest countries, that's one of those ones that don't add. It's not a good return on investment, is it?
No, we don't. We're not the most efficient country, as I think what a lot of these stats are going to eventually show you.
Or maybe they are efficient at teaching us what they want to teach us, but it's not intelligence. I mean, can that make sense?
I mean, that sounds close to a conspiracy theory. I mean, would we like to think our government spends all this money to make us stupid on purpose?
Right. It's almost like they just want us to fall in line and do what you're told. Get a job if you want, go to college if you want, but you got to do one of these things. You can't just go do whatever you want. You got to do one of these things that we tell you should do.
Yeah, the IQ too, and like the thing is like you're gonna see that like which countries, if you start looking at these up, the same countries are gonna be in these top 10 lists a lot. Very rarely is it America. You're gonna see a lot of Scandinavian countries, Japan. I mean, it's the same countries over and over and over again, and these are all countries that America will tell you that, like,
We're better than them.
yeah, we're way better than them because we spend more money and have more military bases around the world. I would tell you that these places are better because you don't see them in the news starting war everywhere, and they're more efficient with the amount of money they have. Like, I would say that, like, some of these stats will go to show you that America wastes a lot of money worrying about a lot of different things around the world when we could be one of the greatest countries in the world, if not the greatest country in the world.
Yeah. All right. So this one's like super close to all of us right now. The safest countries in the world. Just take some time. Google it. You would think you're here we have so many police and sheriffs and, all these things that are supposed to keep us safe and, keep people in line and orderly. But, we're not the safest country. And here's the safest country in the world, Switzerland, followed by Sweden, Canada number 3, Finland, Denmark, Austria, Norway, New Zealand, the Netherlands, and Belgium. And there's so many other places that are safe too. But I'm telling you, America is not one of those. And it's just crazy to think that, we got the army and we got the military, we got all this defense, we're going to be safe. Nope.
No, we actually rank 131st in safety. And that's based on, like, crime rates, chances of, like, basically getting into war. There's an overall global peace index score. And America, you have to scroll way down this list to find America.
Yeah, like when Ashford was like, hey, let's find the most free country and the healthiest. And I was like, hey, I'm all about peace. I joined the army to be peace, to make peace. And then I found out America's 131 out of 160 states, countries on this list. We are not the most peaceful. We're nowhere near the most peaceful.
No, the countries that are like, I mean, we're surrounded by on this list are countries like Iran, North Korea, Ukraine, and Russia.
Jeff, what's the opposite of peace?
War.
Okay, so we would be like close to the top 10 of most warful countries then.
Yeah, I mean, we would seem to be closer to the warmongering side of the scale than peaceful side of the scale. I
I mean,
mean,
what,
we're still not number one. We haven't made number one in that stat either. So,
well, have you guys ever thought that, America is more warful than it is peaceful? I'm telling you, it blows your mind when you start to think about it.
well, when you see that they're number one in military spending in the world, and by how much, we spend almost $1 trillion a year for our military. China, China has the most people in the world, spends a third of what we spend. They spend about $300 billion on military, and Russia spends about $80 billion. So if you think about it, our two biggest competitors that we would say in the world put together spend less than half of what we do on a military, and we would like to claim that we're the humanitarians and everybody else is the bullies of the world when, I mean,
Right, this isn't humanitarian aid.
no.
This is military funding.
This is conquest. It's imperialism behind the mask of humanitarianism.
Yes.
And
Right.
and there's a lot of people that are like, we kind of know this is happening, but the fact of the matter is, like, we have to be the ones that change this country. Obviously, our politicians and big businesses kind of made their decision on what they think our stats should be, and I think that when you look this stuff up, like,
These aren't new stats, guys.
No.
These are America's stats. And if you go back decades, you're going to see that we stay about the same. We've never been really good. We've just been pretty bad for a long time. We're really good at being in the bad statistics. And I didn't know that growing up. It's not what I was told. It's almost like all my teachers, all my friends, all my family, all my school resource officers, all my ROTC, my Army friends, they're just feeding us bullshit lies. And it's like, why? Why are y'all just spoon feeding us bullshit that ain't true? I mean, it's almost like back in the day, people didn't know how to talk about real stuff. They didn't go to therapy and talk about emotions, so they just swept it under the rug and said everything's going to be okay. Here's what the truth is. Even it's like, but we know it's not the truth. Thank God for the internet. And when everyone's telling me America's the best in everything, I can just click on some, on the internet and see for myself, okay, maybe some people are feeding me some bullshit. And if they're feeding me bullshit about this, what else could they be feeding me bullshit about?
yeah, man, it is a crazy thing to think about how many different lies were spoon fed throughout throughout our lives as high school. Like, and you're right. Thank God for the internet, because it's like they're just telling you a story, because it's like, well, most people aren't going to look this up, and it's really hard to look this shit up right now. And that's like all these stories have just been like passed down for generations, because it's easy to lie when it's hard to look shit up. But now the internet has made it to where
Dude,
we can all look this stuff up and know that, like, hey, look, we're not saying America is like living in the Congo or some. There's a bunch of places that are worse than America, but we have been fed a lie that we are the best, and really
we're not
we-
even close.
no, we're not even close, and we are just a big factory. Like, we are a factory. We're really good at making money and making war. We make a lot of people sick with our food. We spend a lot of money on medicine. We spend a lot of money on war.
And we need a lot of soldiers for that war. It's funny. I think the military is not doing that good in recruiting right now. If you look at the military, their numbers are down. And, maybe it's because people are starting to wake up to seeing all the same stuff that me and you are seeing, Jeff. I mean, it's just, it's crazy. These groups I'm part in are like, I didn't think America was so pro-war. I mean, even though I was joining the war system, I guess I didn't even see it at the time.
That's the crazy thing is that, we're fed that we're this like we're fighting for peace, and we got to fight for peace and freedom and peace and freedom and peace and freedom. But like, we are just a perpetual fighting machine. Like, we always create an enemy. Like,
There has to be.
There has to be. It's like a perpetual threat to freedom around the world, and it's just like we're hunting it. Like, it's not even like it's not coming for us to make us not do stuff. Like, we're hunting out this evil, and it's weird that where we choose to hunt this evil out, that may be for a different episode. But a lot of the times, when the places we choose to find this evil has to do with places we can make money. So, I mean, it's another thing. Like, you just kind of notice that our systems are really good at creating war, prisoners of many different kinds, not just those that are incarcerated. Like I said, I think the food system here is set up to create medical prisoners, people that are just sick on pills for their whole life. Like, we have a very different way of living life in our head, and the way America does it is nowhere near number one in my mind.
Yeah, mine either. I've traveled to other countries, and other countries are so much more safe than America. I mean, when I was going to Dubai last year, people were telling me, "Oh, be careful, stay safe. It's dangerous. You're over there with the Arabs," and I wasn't worried one bit. I've been to Iraq, I've been to Kuwait, I've been to Qatar. I mean, I've been around. So I go there, and it's the safest place I've ever been in my life. The most polite. And it's like all these people were like scared for me. And like they don't even know, they're so brainwashed that this country is like the heaven on earth almost. It's like so peaceful. And it's not even top 10 with these. I haven't been to these top 10 countries yet, guys. Those are next on the list.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of eye-opening for me. All these countries that I would like to see. I mean, I still like. I grew up thinking that I was very, very lucky to be born in America. And I still think that I am lucky to have been born here for some reasons. But there's a lot of me that looks at a lot of these stats, and I've looked at them, for years and just felt like just embarrassed and lied to. Like, I don't, it's a weird feeling to have, like, to see so many people have so much pride in something that like is just made up, like, and they don't seem to care to check into this or to think that like there might be a better way. Like, even if the way we're doing it is decent, like, I'm not even saying that like the Industrial Revolution brought on by America changed the world. It's like a big thing. We did that. That's probably where everybody's idea of America is the greatest country in the world came from. But we adopted very many things in order to like continue that big boom that has turned us into like really big bullies. I mean, in order to continue to grow, we had to go, to piss off places like Cuba and the Middle East, and we're just constantly at odds with anybody who's trying to make any money in this world. Like,
Yeah, we are definitely one of the guys in the gang of world leaders. Man, it's hard to say that we're the bad guys, but a lot of other countries, a lot of other good first world countries, almost all the second and third world countries, will call us bad guys. And when you see the statistics of all the bad things that we contribute to, it's hard not to get on board with them.
that is the thing. It's like, not only is America not as great as I thought it was, now we might actually be the bad guy. And I don't like, it's a thing where it's just like, I don't want to think that I'm the bad guy. I love people. I love everyone. And then, but like you said, you see these things, these atrocities that we're a part of, and I mean, those just keep growing. I mean, the whole Native Americans being wiped out when we first got here, slavery. We have all the things that the media will tell us that happened, that our founding fathers were evil, racist people, and it's just like, that was just the beginning. And then, I mean,
Right, our foundation has been on war, lies, money, and greed, and corrupted religion. And when your foundation is that, how good do you think you can build a country? I don't know.
Right. We've created a system on the graves of like traumatized people.
I mean, every country I think has got a little blood on its flag, but I mean, we probably got more than any other country in the world.
And even if we don't, like you said, like that every country does have blood on its flag, that this is the world has been a history of people taking over each other. And it's, I mean, there was a part a time when I would defend America where when we finally took over and wiped out enough people, we decided that no one else should do that. And, you know, like we started telling the rest of the world, hey, let's start making some treaties and everybody try to start getting along, was kind of what I was told. And then you realize that a lot of these treaties are strategic relationships or backdoor deals for people to just collect money, like basically certain groups getting together, and then we're
They
starting
get
to
like a
see
hall pass.
yeah, we're starting to see like now we're starting to see World Economic Forum stuff pop up. Like these these are the groups that have been forming for the past, you know, century, since the Industrial Revolution, when America made money a global thing. I mean, the world has been moving towards this, and a lot of the like countries that you see in the top 10 of all these peaceful, happy, healthy stats are countries you never see in the news starting wars. I mean,
That's the kind of country I would like to live in.
yeah, exactly. Like somewhere that that does just want their people to live peacefully and they're not having to be taken advantage of by their governments because wars are very expensive and we pay for them. Like,
Right. All right, here's another statistic homelessness. You said this country has the highest GDP. Now, what do you think we could use that high GDP for? Maybe the homeless people. Well, here's the least countries with the least homeless. Starting number one, Grenada, Iceland, Estonia, Hong Kong, Luxembourg, Switzerland, Croatia, Costa Rica, Slovenia, and Norway.
oh, also, I'd like to mention that on this stat that we looked up, Japan's not even mentioned because they are at 0% homelessness. So, you know, if homelessness is something that is a big thing for you, just kind of look into Japan and their models of doing that because there are places out there where I mean it was like 0.003% homelessness rate, and then at that point, like those people are choosing to not live in a home. Like there are places in this world, and Japan is one of the most population dense countries in the world. It's small, and they have a lot of people living there, and they figured out a way to get all of them in a house.
Yeah, that's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
We have so much land and resources here, and we are just terribly non efficient and non humane to other people. It's just like, hey, I'm going to get mine and you go get yours.
And if you can't, you can die in the cold.
Right. Go be homeless, but please don't be homeless around here.
Yeah, go be homeless where I can't see you die in the cold because I don't want to feel bad about it.
So, like, okay, so here's prisoners. There are a few countries that have higher prison rates than America. And I think there's only 4 or 5. And you may never even heard of some of these countries. So just think here's number one, El Salvador, then Rwanda, Turkmenistan, Samoa, Cuba, and then the United States. I mean, that's like in the whole world.
Yeah, and if you keep looking down that list, it's like Panama, the Bahamas, Thailand, Uruguay. You're not going to see any other countries
First world developed
that
countries.
you would be surprised was like there. Like, I mean, we're the only first world developed country on that list, and it's, I mean, that's sad. Like, we create these systems. You can, like, I know that, like, I've had discussions with people, and, you know, a lot of people are just like, well, there's just going to be bad people. But if you look at these world stats, you have to sit back and admit that maybe something we're doing is causing some of these people to be bad. Me personally, I don't believe there is such thing as bad people. I think it's bad circumstance, and a lot of times, like we look at these problems in America as, oh, we can't fix them. There's just always going to be homeless people. There's just always going to be people that murder and rob. And it's just like, well, in a world where we create not enough homes and not enough food and not enough resources for everybody, there probably will always be those kind of people, because there has to be those kind of people in that kind of world. But if we create, maybe if we look into how Japan is doing with their homeless problem, or maybe some of these other countries like Iceland, and I think Japan again is one of the best in incarceration rates. Look at some of these other countries and think that, like, there are better ways to doing what we're doing. We might be doing things wrong.
Yeah, I don't even think Japan's police officers have guns. I don't know if the Dubai officers had guns, but I only saw one police officer in 12 days, going just all the way around Dubai. Just like it's not needed. What can the cops do? They can help people. They can do other things. Plus, maybe they don't even need that many cops in those countries. Like what are we afraid that if we just get too safe here that we're gonna lose the policemen? Like, we're not gonna have enough police jobs. Like, those guys can't go get something else that's like more useful. Like, there's so many more useful things a person could be doing than trying to control a human. Like, it's just we shouldn't need that. There's better things to work on.
Well, I think the thing is like, in a lot of these other countries, things like being a police officer or joining the military, it's more of a public service, and not more like, these things have been turned into like businesses. And when you take the business model, it's like, in order to create more police or more soldiers, you have to have more wars or more this or that. And
Yeah, more war on drugs.
yeah, so we create a bad guy to make money off of.
And these people joining the police, just like they're joining the army, they want to go. They want to go to war, man. They want to go suit up, go knock some fucking doors down, kick some ass, and beat the bad guys up. I mean, it takes a special kind of person to want to do this type of stuff.
Well, I think that somebody who's bought the idea that there's this evil bad guy out there. I mean, if you think about it, like,
Yeah, I bought into it. I used to think there was an evil bad guy out there.
societally, like, it's very, I mean, Hitler did it. Like, when you turn a different group of people into an us versus them, and they're less than human, like, it is very easy to do these things. And that's what this propaganda type stuff does, is it turns another group of people into less than you, and we're able to create that America is this safe haven, this super heaven, and all these different threats are out there. And if we don't go do something, like, then the world will just fall apart. But if you look around the world, there are countries out there that are thriving and doing great things, and they're not involved in all this World War III crap that's going on right now. I mean, and a lot of
the homelessness.
Yeah.
I don't even get into that. All right, Christianity. All right, America. We'll get into a couple of things that America is number one in. I think we mentioned a couple of them already, but also Christianity. America has more Christians than any other country. That's something that some people can be really proud about.
Or if you can look at these other numbers and wonder if there's, maybe a causation or correlation, and maybe us being one of the most religious countries in the world is maybe the reason why we lag behind in some of these other stats, because it allows us to create an us or them type thing.
Right. When Jeff said, makes us someone else feel less than human, another way to say that is less than equal to you. So if you have a group of people and you don't, think they deserve the food, water, shelter, you don't think their soul's going to heaven, you don't think they're worth as much as you, I mean, those are things that make people not equal to yourself. And those things cause division, and they cause sides. And then people start rallying on these sides to fight against the enemy. And they create this passion for nothing. And it's just insane.
And America's number one.
And we're number one at that. And, that also, believing. How are we going to go? All right. We're also depression.
Hey, just think of it, number one as far as the number of Christians in the world, and we're 24th in IQ. So let's just, think about that a little bit as well.
Yes. Depression. I like this. Let's think about depression too, Jeff. Which state is number one in depression? Now, I have PTSD and depression. So, number one is Ukraine. Number two is United States in the world.
And you can understand why Ukraine might be a little more depressed than us right now.
Right. So if we can just we should just get rid of Ukraine off that list. I mean, because they're in a war zone right now,
Yeah.
and they don't seem like they're that. I mean, we're damn America. We
Yeah.
are like one of the most developed countries in the world. We should not be tied for depression with Ukraine.
No, we should not be number two in depression, period. Like I said, I mean, and even if you look at the rest of the list, Estonia, Australia, Brazil, Greece, Portugal, I mean, a lot of these countries, I don't know about Estonia, but Australia, Portugal, I mean, Greece, these are countries that follow a very similar model
Of religion.
to the United States.
Exactly.
Like,
So is there a correlation or causation? If we are the most Christian country, are we the most depressed as well? I've known people personally who, in the Bible Belt, who believe their kids were possessed by a devil or a demon, and they worked more on getting an exorcist and trying multiple exorcisms than therapy. It's
we can
just
go back to that IQ thing again.
back to the IQ thing.
I mean,
I mean, all this depression and homelessness in the most Christian country. Y'all, what are the churches doing with all this money? I mean, America is very high. It used to be in charities, especially religious charities. I mean, if these churches aren't helping these homeless people and these depressed people, these people that are suffering. I mean, those two types of people are probably the most suffering type of individuals. And I was always thought that the church was supposed to be helping suffering people.
I guess you said America used to be very high at giving to the church. I think the stats we looked up was through 2018, they were number one in the world as far as donating to the church. So I guess one little ray of hope we can look at is maybe people are starting to wake up and give less money to these organizations that are swindling money, in my opinion, because if, like you said, we're so high at rates at giving to the church and people believing in the church, but then you look at the rates of homelessness and people that are suffering from mental disabilities and depression, and we're really high in those stats. What are we doing?
I think we're going to church and giving our money so we look good to our friends and family, and so we fit in with a group of people.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that there are a percentage of those people that believe that money does do something to help. But to me, it's like if you're going, especially at these like mega churches, man, where it's like, well, the church threw these big giant parties for the community, and it's like, yeah, but the homeless people and the people that are suffering from these crazy mental illnesses aren't going out to these big celebrations where the church spent thousands and thousands of dollars to rent, food trucks and hot air balloons and do all these cool things. And I'm not saying it's not cool. That's fun stuff. But is it making the community better? Is it helping people that need help?
To me, it seems like the modern day church is the same. So if Jesus came by, he would go to these churches and flip over the tables and be like, y'all are doing the same stuff that the church was doing 2,000 years ago.
Exactly.
And people don't see that. The church wouldn't recognize Jesus if he came back today. It's crazy.
No, man. I guess, yeah, that's one of the saddest things as far as all this is you talk about the church not recognizing Jesus if he came back and Jesus being disappointed as you look at these churches, and it's sad because, like I was saying, I do think there's a certain percentage of people that go there and do want the stuff that church talks about, and to an extent probably do get some of that. I'm not discounting church 100% because I do think that there are people that are the sheeple that need somebody to tell them to be nice.
Jeff, I have had people that I've like had talks with, and they say, I don't know, I don't know if Jesus is real, but I have to believe he's real because he's changed my life. And you're right. If it takes Jesus to change your life, to be that good type of human, thank God for you. Thank God for Jesus. Thank God for your group.
It just sucks that like those mega churches can take advantage of that. And like the thing is, and I'm probably going to get a lot of people telling me I'm wrong and all these churches donate to this place and that place, but I would ask a lot of people to look into these nonprofits and see what percentage of dollars, and if you have nonprofits out there that are really doing good work, then donate to those. Like, because there are some, but they're very few and far between, and a lot of times when you look at those kind of stats, I mean, you can kind of see that it's not 100%, and a lot of these organizations take advantage of people.
Man, I own a for-profit business, and there was a lot of decisions going into if I wanted to start a for-profit or nonprofit business. When you look into these things, you understand it's a game, and people start whichever one because they have a game plan or they have an artistic panel that they get to create a business. And just because you have a nonprofit does not mean that you do as much good or more good than a for-profit business. It simply means that at the end of the year, you can't keep any money for investment purposes, for improvements. You have to give it away or you have to spend it. And most of them spend it on salaries and buildings and expenses. And
Yeah,
Go-
as long
go
as it's
research
spent every
this.
year. Yeah, that and their board members' salaries. That's what I'm saying is see what percentage of your dollar actually goes to like researching the whatever type of cancer, or like see what percentage of your dollar goes to help the families in need, because a lot of times it's less than 50% of a dollar, and you think, well, like these people need to get paid for running these businesses and it's just a very, very shady,
inefficient.
inefficient way of handling people wanting to help people. Like, and you're gonna see like people complain about organizations like the Red Cross and FEMA and stuff like that dropping the ball all the time. And
There are some good ones.
there are good ones. There are good ones. They're just few and far between.
Right. I mean, it's like saying there's good politicians. Okay?
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean by that. I don't know, Jeff, you think there's any good politicians out there?
No, I've never heard of one. I don't think that exists. I would bet, like, I didn't look up those stats for America, but I would say that we probably rank pretty high as far as most crooked politicians. Maybe like Ukraine's number one.
You're right. We got to be pretty bad.
I just say we're at least top 10, top 20 on that list. Might not be number
I mean,
one.
it seems like every day there's multiple politicians in the news for something corrupt.
Yep, and it's always something they pretend to be against.
Well, if you guys want to know anything else about, stats about America or how we feel about America or what kind of direction we would like to see America go in, we would love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, please like, comment, subscribe. We'll keep talking. You keep listening. We enjoy the journey. Peace out, guys.
Yeah, we love you. Take care.